is just like him to send her on a scavenger hunt for an engagement ring. No bended knee proposal, no flowers, just an envelope with cab fare and a clue. But the clue makes her forgive him. Written in his meticulous architect script on heavy cardstock, it says, "Where first we kissed." And she remembers Coy Tower, when she was a little younger, a little more naive. She remembers the cool bay wind streaming through her straight blonde hair, blowing it in wisps around his own curly light hair, while the spotlit tower rises beside them, sturdy and erect, like a promise of true, rock-hard love. But when she gets there by taxi and finds the next clue, her thrill deflates. She reads, "I know you aren't the only one, but you're the only one I've found." A bold move on his part to reference their first real fight. She trudges down the hill to North Beach and remembers the cafe, sitting silently as he lectures her about what it means to choose to love. When his linguine arrived and the clams were spoiled, she was secretly glad. The memory of that night reminds her of her doubts. She doesn't want to hunt anymore. It is 8 in the morning and the city feels too big to traverse, and at the same time she feels like it is shrinking all around her. The second clue is taped to the cafe's front door, which won't open until the afternoon. She unsticks the small card and reads, "Where you found your favorite music." She hails another cab and tells him to drive to 8th Street. Another memory from their early days, him filling her arms with records. That she didn't have a record player was inconsequential. He bought her one the next day. At home, alone, she listened to the arrhythmic polytonal compositions and gradually learned to appreciate them. But she never called it her favorite.
Quiet.
Nor did she ever tell him her name for it. HAM, which stood for Pretentious Architect Music. 8th Street is foggy and still asleep. The record store has only just opened. At the front counter, a punk boy in a dilapidated t-shirt gives her the clue with a smirk. Obviously he's read it. Obviously he thinks it means something other than what it does. The clue says, "The gate to love is guarded by bears." She stares down his insinuation and sets out on foot for 8th Avenue to Fulton. At least this one isn't too far away. At least this one makes her happy. She walks through Golden Gate Park to the side entrance at 8th and Fulton. She studies the entrance and rests. All this walking around has made her feet sore. Her memory of that sunny day floods back to her. It was a while ago. They had a picnic to celebrate exactly 2 years of dating. She loved picnics. And crossing Fulton towards the park, she carried 2 grocery bags, heavy with her favorite things. She laughed when he flung their blanket across his back like a young boy in a makeshift cape. When they reached this gate, he stopped. Atop each of the 2 columns, a great beast, sculpted out of metal, crouched poised and ready to pounce. Their weathered patina gave to their cast forms a serpentine quality, vicious and wild, and muddled their features just slightly. "Look at these bears," he said. "I think they're mountain lions," she replied. No, they're definitely bears. She had stood there in silent impatience, her shoulders pulled down by the groceries as he darted back and forth between the pillars, eyeing each creature in turn. He had said, "They're guarding the park together. This is like us, ready to fend off the dangers of the world side by side." It was endearing for him to think so. She didn't mention the road dividing the beasts, or that since they were sculptures, they would never be together, never curl their curved flanks like nestled shields, never actually touch. Finally, he had satisfied himself, and they walked on into the park, spreading out their picnic on a sunny lawn. They ate slowly and lounged, tanning in the hot sunshine. What if he saw everything in the world completely differently, he asked, after they had finished their picnic food. "You mean if we saw in black and white, or in 4 dimensions?" she had asked. The wine had made her clever. He said, "No. I mean, you and me. I mean like those bears. You thought they were lions. Wouldn't it be awful if everything we saw went into your brain as something totally different from how it goes into my brain?" She said, "But it does." "No," he insisted. "We see the same world, That's why we love each other. They packed up their plastic champagne flutes, the cutting board and the crumpled white butcher papers. He carefully rolled the blanket. She held his hand when they laughed. She liked the heft of it. After the picnic, they went to her place. And later, when they lay in bed, she thought of that Kate and knew she was right. They were not theirs. They were mountain lions. That had been over a year ago, just before they moved in together. Now, standing with sore feet, she examines the lions. The next clue is stuck to one sculpture in a wax paper envelope, the kind that postage stamps come in, to protect it against the fog, and she takes it but does not open it. She stares at the first statue, then at the second, then back at the first. They had both been wrong. One is a bear, the other a lion, and they're not guarding the park together at all. Instead, they stalk each other from their perches, preparing for a fight to the death. She shivers and looks across the street at the apartment buildings along Fulton. Grim 4- and 5-story structures, their simple bay windows built onto the walls like afterthoughts. She imagines sitting high up in one of those windows, wearing an old sweatshirt and waiting for him, watching this gate. She imagines a bell ringing, the kind they have at boxing matches, starting the duel between these two beasts. The muscular brown bear arches his back, while the mountain lion lies coiled, smaller, slyer, more desperate. Only one of them can come out of this alive. She drops the clue she's holding. She reaches into her pocket and pulls out the other clues and drops them too. They land in a neat stack and splay out like a small fan on the fog-soaked pavement. The dampness stains their borders, and the moisture wicks in towards his inked script, causing it to smear and bleed. She turns her back on the gate and walks up 8th Avenue towards Clement Street. Soon, she is moving through the almost all-Chinese crowd. She takes deep breaths. She feels pursued. She keeps moving. She passes duck carcasses hanging in windows and sun-bleached posters advertising acupuncture. There are tiny women everywhere in collarless jackets hunched over wire push carts. The signs are all written in Chinese calligraphy. It is a strange and foreign place. Even the cars are parked differently, at angles here instead of parallel. The cold fog wipes at her cheeks and mingles with the smells of roast pork fat and citrus. She feels on her finger the clean absence of her unfound wedding ring. At a corner, she waits for the green light, and when a police officer laughs at a joke and then responds in a language she does not know, the complete, pervasive foreignness makes her heart pound. Here, she has no friends. She has no enemies either. Striding across the street, she no longer notices the pavement. She is floating. She is a fugitive, but she has made it across the border. She wonders how long it will take her to learn the customs, to learn the language, to blend in. She begins to look for clues.
Yeah!